All right, people. If you still believe that our political elite, our judiciary, our bureaucracy, our police, they're here to serve us and not some foreign agendas, then let me break it to you. You're wrong. And how wrong are you? Just have a look at this. I'm sure you didn't hear about this anywhere on mainstream media because, to be fair, even I didn't know about this. And I'm someone who keeps an eye on these things. Nobody knew about this. This happened last year, and we only came to know about this, and we only came to know about this pathetic policing by the British police only when the case went to court. Let me show you this. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Look at this kid. He was 18 years old. His last words, as heard in court, "I can't breathe," were the last words of Henry Nowak as he was handcuffed by the British police while heavily bleeding. So he was bleeding. He was stabbed multiple times. He told the coppers, "I'm bleeding. I've been stabbed." And the coppers didn't believe him because they were too preoccupied by his stabber, who was a Sikh man, I think 22, 23 years old, who was allowed to carry a knife on him. And he stabbed him after an altercation while Henry's not here to tell us his side of the story. And the sad part is, as he drowned in his own blood, as he begged for medical attention, his stabber told the police, "No, he hurled some racial abuse at me, and nobody stabbed you, bro. He was stabbed 5 times. He could have saved his life by being honest, at least at that point." Later on, he said, "Well, I was scared. That's why I didn't tell the police that I had stabbed him multiple times." His mother hid the evidence. She tried to get rid of the kirpan, the Sikh knife. She tried to get rid of it and tried to obviously destroy the evidence. But the worst part is the police arrived at the scene and they handcuffed him as he was drowning in his own blood. You didn't hear about it anywhere on mainstream media. This was his murderer, this guy. And look at him. They're allowed to carry these knives. This is a world upside down, guys. On the one hand, the British government decided to take all weapons from its people, but then they allowed them to carry their knives. Don't be surprised if he walks away. Don't be surprised if a woke judge says, "Oh, it must have been horrible for you to go through such vile racial abuse," of which we have no idea. To be fair, this kid doesn't look like a fighter. He doesn't look much. He looks like one of those shy, quiet kids who just mind their own business. But again, even if he said something, did he deserve to die? Did he deserve to be gaslit in his dying moments and his own police officers did not believe him? This reminds me of that German police officer who attended a disturbance a couple of years ago in Germany where a Danish protester was burning his copy of the Quran, and an Afghan migrant turned up with a knife, started swinging his knife, tried to stab some people. There's a video, it's all on camera. And a young German police officer turns up, and instead of tackling the Afghan guy with the knife, his woke training forced him to go after the Quran burner because, they're far-right white supremacist hooligans. So he went after them. He pinned that guy down. And as the police officer was sitting on top of him, the Afghan guy got up and he stabbed him in the neck. This is why we tell you that they don't only hate us, these Islamists. They don't only hate us. They hate all of you. But the woke training of that poor police officer cost him his life. I think he was 28 years old or something. Very handsome police officer. He fell victim to the woke propaganda that has been peddled across our institutions. Same thing happened here. These police officers did not believe the white guy and immediately believed his word that, "Oh, did he racially abuse you? Okay, we're going to arrest you." Even if he had racially abused someone, why would you handcuff someone? This kid doesn't look like a threat. And if you can't, I just can't imagine, guys. Seriously, I can't imagine. Now, let's get to our political elite. Look at this horrible, horrible creature, Keir Starmer. Look at him taking the knee when it came to George Floyd, but hasn't said a word about Henry Nowak, or Rhiannon White or Wayne Broadhurst or any of those hundreds of British people who've been murdered by non-Brits.
Can I start by expressing shock and anger at the death of George Floyd? This has shone a light on racism and hatred experienced by many in the US and beyond. I'm surprised the Prime Minister hasn't said anything about this yet, but I do hope that next time he speaks to President Trump, he will convey to him the UK's abhorrence about his response to the events. And the image, I think, will stick with me, and I'm sure it'll stick with many, many people.
This is the same virtue signaling these lunatics. Not a word. As I said, not a word. If a victim is white, their humanity goes out the window. But some people are talking. Robert Jenrick of the Tories delivered this speech that is worth listening to.
A student on a night out is stabbed multiple times with a 21 centimetre long knife. He's lying in a pool of his own blood, literally drowning in his blood. The police come to the scene. Instead of doing everything that they can to save his life, they handcuff and arrest the lad because there's an accusation of racial abuse. This is a scandal. Will the Home Secretary come to the House and say what she's doing to investigate the way the police conducted this matter? And can we have a debate on two-tier policing, which is doing so much to undermine respect for the police and for the rule of law in this country?
Good luck with that. Two-tier policing, he said. Two-tier policing. What about two-tier justice? Now, this story is even more disturbing. As disturbing as the last story was, this is even more disturbing because that was a failure of two police officers who attended the scene. For the life of me, I can't work it out. How could you not take anyone seriously? He wouldn't be just sitting like this and say, hey, I've been stabbed, guys. Can you please have a look? He wouldn't be like this. He would be like gasping for air, lying down, probably crying, and they still didn't pay attention. It shows it's not apathy, it's contempt. It's not apathy. But this is even worse, what I'm about to tell you. You'd be thinking, what could be worse than that, Harris? Oh, actually, even that, I'll show you something even worse. But there is a plethora of these examples. So get a load of this. Teenage gang who lured schoolgirl, 15, to underpass and laughed as they filmed themselves eyeing her, avoid jail. As judge praises them for good behavior during trial. That is a good enough reason for these horrible people to walk away. I'm not going to go into the gory details of the crime. I'm not going to go into the impact statement of the victims. I'm just going to show you the apathy. Actually, no, not the apathy, the contempt. Our ruling elite, the judiciary, the police, all of them. That's the case I'm trying to make here. I'm just going to show you that. But all three defendants were today handed youth rehabilitation orders instead of jail sentences during a hearing at Southampton Crown Court, as a judge told them, none of you need to go to prison. In the UK, you can rape. You don't need to go to prison. Do I need to say anything more? Can I? I don't know. I'm missing something. Look at the judge. Judge Nicholas Rowland told the boys, none of you need to go to prison today. The judge also praised the boys for their conduct during the trial, saying, I think of you as very young and none of you have been in any big trouble before. They were 13 and 14, by the way, 15. The girl, two girls on separate occasions. It wasn't just a one-off event, two separate events. This soft judge is sending a signal that these appalling crimes will go without proper punishment, encouraging other offenders. Judge Rowland said the first boy had been diagnosed with ADHD. I think I have ADHD. Can I go and do whatever I want? Actually, you know what? Because I'm brown, I might actually get away with it. To be fair, it's happening in Australia. Not that I have any intention of doing anything like that. I'm 42 years old and I've made it this far without any crime. I don't think I'm about to change that now. But doesn't that make you angry, guys? It should. I want to know who those people are who still believe in this, in in the Western justice system. I want to know who those people are who still believe that, oh, everything is working fine. I'm going to look the other way. It's just the patriarchy. That's the problem. It's just the white man who's the problem. The judge told the defendants, I have to remember that you're not small adults. I have to think how likely you are to do serious things again, and I need to make sure you do not do serious things again in the future. The boys attempted to portray their victims as liars in court. One claimed of the second victim, she was flirting with me. She made it up for a story to make up why she went missing to her mom and dad. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Okay, did I tell you I'm going to tell you something even worse than that? Okay, get a load of this. This happened in France, okay? It's the same problem all across the West. Look at this guy. See this man? His name is Mohammed Bukaki. Sorry, not Bukaki. Mohammed Bakali. He was a logistical brain behind the horrific Paris and Bataclan attacks. Remember the Paris theater? In which 130 people died. 130 people died that day. And it's not just, bullet to the head. No. It was October 7 level brutality. They cut off testicles of the victims and shoved them into the victims' mouths. They carved up pregnant women and raped them. They gouged people's eyes out. October 7 level barbarity. And when these things are happening to you, I think you probably would wish that, just kill me already. Just a bullet in my head. I don't want anything more. Take some of these things out if they become problematic. I'm sorry. I don't want to go into gory details, but guess what? So you'd be thinking, okay, Harris, that happened, nearly 15 years ago? 2015, I think it happened? Yeah, 2015. So it should be over by now. These guys should rot in prison. No! You can kill or take part in a terrorist event where you are responsible for the deaths of 130 people in the most brutal manner. And guess what? Western justice system allows you to still get out. Again, the court highlighted his calm and respectful behavior in prison. If he continues his good behavior, he could potentially be freed indefinitely long before at the end of his sentence in 2040. So his maximum sentence is until 2040 anyway. Why is that? You can kill that many people or be responsible for the deaths of so many people and you can still get out. But this is not even the worst part, guys. So he was transferred to Belgium, the woke capital of the world, and he's been allowed to go out and have these visits. I don't know what they're called. Yeah, it's called prison leave. It's called prison leave. So he can go out and, for 24 hours and experience freedom for 24 hours. Oh, I've got one more video. Actually, listen to this. All of this is happening in the UK. Listen to this woman. I'll let her do the talking.
The men who preyed on them were predominantly Muslim, generally either from Pakistan or of Pakistani heritage. One of the victims from Dewsbury was told by her rapist, I quote, "We're here to fuck all the white girls and fuck the government." Will the minister accept that, in many cases, these crimes were racially and religiously aggravated?
This happened on an industrial scale. Even if you want to keep an open mind and say, look, the British establishment, the police, the judiciary, they were hoodwinked. They didn't know what they were dealing with. It's still their failure. The purpose of living in a society is that it ensures the safety of you, your family, and your livelihood and your property. That's the purpose of living in a society. Otherwise, you go and live in a jungle, right? And Western societies, for a very long time, took pride in being the pinnacle of civilization. And this is what's happening. They failed. But the worst part is they didn't even fail because it was the ordinary Brits who were doing all these horrible things. They imported people who did these things. They brought their cultural values. They brought their hatred and contempt for the West, but they would take it out on ordinary Westerners, like our children. They would take it out on them. And the ruling elite, Jess Phillips, she was just sitting there. She's a minister for women's safety or something. And they would make decisions that would become a noose for ordinary people. That's how bad it is. And the people are still being gaslit. I'm glad that it's not working though. More and more people are drifting to no compromise position. But they're becoming more and more rhetorical, as I have become. I'm not interested in debating with any of these people who make excuses for these people, who say diversity is our strength, or multiculturalism enriches us. No, I have become convinced that for any society to work, you need to have a dominant culture, a primary culture, and that primary culture must dominate every facet of life in that society. That dominant culture should write laws. It should write the code of conduct and the rules of engagement for everything, for your judiciary, for the police, for the bureaucracy. Everything must be dictated by the primary culture of that society. No other culture has any place. You can have harmless cultural practices. You know, you want to have an Eid, not the big one, the one that's coming up in a couple of days. Actually, it's tomorrow or the day after, I think, where they barbarically slaughter animals. That shouldn't be allowed. But the first Eid after Ramadan, that should be allowed. Okay, go. But privately, the rest of the world shouldn't see that. We don't want to see it. We don't want to be affected by it. You want to pray at home, fine. But I'm sure it's actually going to go past that because Muslims thought that they were gaining strength. They mistook the politeness and the kindness of Westerners. They mistook it for their strength and their weakness. Not going to work that way. So I think people have gone past the stage of, okay, you know what, you can do this and that. Let's just bring some common sense into it. No, I'm seeing people are drifting more and more towards really hard right narratives, where the people say, we can't live with them. We don't have to live like this. And they're right. You can't blame them. This thing will keep happening. It's happening. I'm shocked. I'm going to make a detailed video in Japan. I'm shocked that how they went for Britain and Europe first, then they went for America. And after COVID, they've gone for Australia and even Japan. This is all, it's all clear now. This was an organized conspiracy by the global left to dismantle all primary cultures, to dismantle Western society as we know it. But I think they're in for a surprise because people are waking up. We're not going to surrender our countries to barbarians that easily.